Hey everyone, Kim here, Abundant Life Tarot. Thank you for joining me. We are continuing on with our exploration surrounding what happened to KEI'MANI Latigue. And I have a whole playlist. You can check it out. In this next video and the next probably two videos, we're going to be looking at the grandmother. I wanted to do readings, energetic readings, exploring the relationships and any clues that come up surrounding the people closest to her, or, you know, at least as we know them as her parents or guardians. So we've done readings for her father, or on her biological mother, and now on her grandmother, who at the time of KEI'MANI's death, she was the guardian. So, shuffling the cards. Dorothy. What can be revealed about the relationship? Okay. This has come up before. Fated to suffer. All right. Ooh, okay. Sacrifice. This card came up, and I can't remember which one. I don't know if it was one of the parents. I'll have to look back at the pictures. And when I pause for a moment, I will take a look and see where did this card come up before, because it did. And it's always important to see where it came up before, because whatever questions or whoever we were focused on, there's a link, there's a connection here. So sacrifice, and then the other oracle card we got was fated to suffer. Fated to suffer. Sacrifice. So we have here a situation where someone was sacrificing the other, or someone felt like they were being sacrificed. And when we think about Dorothy, or the grandmother, right, we think about her own rough upbringing, where she may have felt like she had to make a lot of sacrifices. She was fated to suffer. Now, it could just be something as simple as that. It could be that she is a caregiver. She was supposed to be taking care of her own biological children, but that didn't happen. And now she's taking care of KEI'MANI at the time before KEI'MANI passed. So we know that there could have been sacrifices going on with that as well. What I mean by that is, you know, this child having to make sacrifices and being fated to suffer in this dynamic. Since we're asking about the grandmother, the dynamics surrounding her, surrounding being around her, that's what we've got. So we've got sacrifice and fated to suffer. That's, take what you may of it. I don't, you know, I'm going to zoom in for just a moment because I want you to look at the cards. We're going to look at the guidebook for this deck. This is the Dark Mirror Oracle. The stage associated with this card is anger. And the quote is, even if I have to break apart, as long as it serves a purpose. Okay. I'm just looking to see if there's anything else to share with you all from the guidebook. It says, with sacrifice, we renounce our sense of self. We accept to be lost. We accept to be shaken and cut and bruised and hurt and burdened and locked and stricken and despised and gossiped and betrayed and be misunderstood and be left alone, to rot, to die with just words of thanks while the world goes on over our broken dreams. But when we drove our sense of self to sacrifice, we are also a greater person. We're screaming, I exist, I make the difference. We accepted a price to pay, and we used our blood and tears as currency. that gives us the right to stand tall. Wow. This is surrounding Dorothy's energy. It's just many sacrifices, some things that has to be done in the face of being judged. And the potential to be judged, to be crucified. Someone has to sacrifice. It's either you or me is the energy I'm picking up on here with this card and after I've read the guidebook. Let's look at Fated to Suffer. Card 25. The stage is depression. Feeling confined into a script, forced by other, and never really fought. Heading toward a destination of pain. Oh my gosh. Now, I know there's been allegations, all sorts of allegations surrounding, the grandmother and what her level of involvement is, to also how she was disciplining KEI'MANI. She even admitted that she had to be educated on how to discipline according to Ohio statute. This Ohio allows for corporal punishment, but I guess their CPS or Child Protective Services doesn't endorse corporal punishment. So they came out and gave instruction to her about how to properly discipline KEI'MANI, only on the bottom, not leaving marks, etc. So there's those allegations of like mistreatment or some overuse of discipline or not being there. We know by Dorothy's own admission that she left KEI'MANI overnight. Now, again, it sounds like it's legal to do that in that state. I haven't checked the statutes myself yet on that. But in many other states, it's perfectly fine to leave a child at a certain age for a number of hours or even overnight. So there's neglect, though. Some people still say it doesn't matter. You still shouldn't do that. You shouldn't leave a child for several hours overnight, whatever what the case is with the law, who cares? So there's that side of things, and then there's the other side of things of what happened to KEI'MANI, like the crime itself. Did the grandmother have any involvement, any knowing, any trying to cover up any aspects, whether she did anything or not? All of this is alleged, of course, but these are the rumors that are going around. So it's really hard to pick up on what these cards alone are saying. Now I'm going to continue with reading an excerpt from the guidebook here, but wow. It could be both. And again, all of this is alleged, but even with her doing what she has to do, maybe she felt like she had to cover up certain aspects of what she does or what she knows out of self-preservation, is what this sacrifice card is saying. Fated to Suffer is interesting because of that one little passage I just read to you. Feeling confined into a script, forced by other and never really fought, heading toward a destination of pain. Wow. Wow. And that script word keeps coming up throughout all of the readings. A play, a script, someone creating a script and someone having to be the actor or the character and playing it out. I know right now law enforcement has just indicated that it's Darnell, the father, that is responsible. But in my readings, it's always felt like there was someone who helped or someone who's involved. There's other parties in the know or involved. And so sometimes with law enforcement, they go after who is most critical to the case and make decisions on whether or not to pursue something later down the line or never at all. And we'll see how it all pans out, right? But yeah, Fated to Suffer. Once upon a time, we believed in fairy tales. They were the voice of common sense, the educational tool which prepared us to duty, danger, and morals. Some things we would never accept if they were told by a single voice. So, the world arranges us to hear them with 1,000 voices, 1,000,000 voices. It's about what you can do and what you can't do. What are you worth? What can you aspire to? It's about what you like, what you want, what you hold dear. It creates a script which becomes as strong as all the voices that believe that script combined. So much that you cannot see another path. Are you truly seeing Snow White in the card? It asks. Is this story truly the only one that this image can tell? What if the apple is not poisoned? What if the witch is not evil? Is that the same as what you look in your life? Is it truly what you think it is? Are there not other options? Is the opinion of others honestly better than ours, even if they are many and we are only one? Are you fated to suffer? It is not that there is no suffering in the world. The point is that there is no fate. What? I don't know if it's like I'm reading this passage with new eyes. And it's giving me a perspective about Dorothy. You let me know what you think so far about that. I'm going to grab a different deck to shuffle. I'll be right back. Okay. So we're going to work with this real life tarot deck like I did for the other two parentals in KEI'MANI's life. Oh my goodness. Okay. That's interesting. Catfish. I want one more card, please, Spirit. Okay, I'm gonna have to zoom out a bit so you all can see all of the cards. Okay. Let's take a breath and look at them for a moment. So what I find interesting is I feel like I've seen this one before. I don't just stop working on these readings once I'm done recording. I go back and I look at other, like the pictures I take, and I look to see where did I see that card before and what question was I asking and what was going on. And I look like to connect the dots. It helps me for future readings if I decide to do them down the line, or it helps me to have a point of clarity in a situation. It's almost like spirit pointing us. And so there's a couple of cards here that feels energetically like ones we've seen before in the past readings. The first one is this one. Meat on a hook. Raw meat on a hook. Now, it could be Dorothy's perspective of how she feels. She's being hung out to dry or hung out to, be picked at. And it could be her feeling like she's on the hook, right, since we're asking about her. Or it could be, it could be and or. It could be that, to some regards, she basically put this child out there. I mean, I don't think any of us can argue that. Like, at the bare minimum, if she's saying that the father, Darnell, was grooming KEI'MANI, and it sounds like she has a good grasp of what it is to be groomed, then she recognizes maybe she herself at one point had been groomed herself. So she's seen it. Perhaps maybe she didn't think it would go to this extent. That's what I'm picking up on intuitively here. Like, she did not think it would go to that extent. Like, she had a good grasp. She said it in her interview, her extended interview with the news, about she felt deceived. She felt like, she gave almost like a textbook definition of what grooming is, which I thought was interesting. Like, where'd you get that from? But it's part, she did rehearse that. It is also part that she experienced it in multiple ways. And that's supported by this return receipt card. So she experienced it. Maybe other people around her experienced it. And that's why she knows it. It just probably had never led to such catastrophic outcomes, such tragic outcomes, such as what happened to KEI'MANI. Return receipt is also a bit sad. All the cards can have double, triple meaning, sometimes a singular meaning for each card. Remember, this is for entertainment and educational purposes only that I do this, but also to raise awareness and to discuss these things. Return receipt is sad to me because you see how there's all these little records here, little computations and things. This is such a loaded card. It's about, first of all, return receipt, this child being bounced around. I don't know. It sounds like Dorothy went through a similar situation herself as a child. She was a teen mom of multiple children that also got removed from her care. And then somehow she's KEI'MANI's caregiver, but that's because she's her kin, her maternal grandmother. But there's that aspect of it, of this return receipt. But this also is like somebody tracking something. Could be, the Child Protective Services, people tracking things or some sort of records, or maybe she keeps records, or maybe this is all about some kind of money situation, or keeping track of what I get, what you get, what you give, what I get, etc. A receipt. It has a bunch of different connotations here. For me, let me know what you think. And also it reminds me of the text messages. I am going to be asking, so stay tuned for the next parts that I do for the grandmother. I'm going to be doing a detailed tarot and oracle reading. It's 14 questions, so I'm dividing them up by 7 questions per video. It'll be timestamped. But one of the questions I wanted to ask about was those images of the ransom messages for $4,000. Dorothy has never confirmed that. She's never once in any of the statements that she did, nor did, I don't think, her daughter, Sanika, ever mention about those text messages. The only person or persons who brought that forward was the cousin and some other people. It was never Dorothy who said that. So where did that come from and why? So this is what reminds me of that. And then I get an intuitive gut hit, like little goosebumps, like, something's off about that. We need to explore that further with the tarot. The broken bed. The broken bed. The broken bed. I know she says she saw things in disarray. She said it looked staged. Again, some of the language that the grandmother used in her interviews were interesting to me, but it could be, that's just her. I don't know. I don't know how she normally speaks, so. But I can tell you this, the bed is like, she may have seen something. It's a red blanket, something about a red. I know that red underwear were found, so maybe there's some of significance here. The broken bed, this is about like symbolic of the brokenness of that home that she was leading. Like this was not on a solid foundation. Ideally, that's with this picture, how we have pictures in our home and it's what we ideally wanted to, like, you see a beautiful beach setting, but you don't, the rest of your house, the decor is, it's like it's different. It's not the same of what's really actually going on, but you long for that. That could be KEI'MANI longing for that. But what was happening here was a broken bed situation. It sounded like when the Child Protective Services Agency went out, they didn't see anything, that was cause for alarm, and they educated her. She probably had food in the fridge, decent home, I guess, bed, bedroom for KEI'MANI. Allegedly, they were only living there themselves. But this card is almost for sure telling me, no, there's something off about the living situation. It's not what it seems. One post down, 3 standing. I always felt like there was at least 3 other people, or a total of 3, or there was multiple people in and out of that house. Allegedly. And that may or may not make a difference in the grand scheme of things when it all comes out, when the truth comes out about what all happened and transpired. But yeah. Now, this could be a weed tree, I suppose. A bud, a plant, I don't know. But it could just be, elements of drugs activity, cover up of that. Or it could be a money tree. That being a motivating thing for her, Dorothy, allegedly. And let me know something about maybe, I don't know. I can't even, I'll have to sit with this one. I'm not quite sure. To fend off obstacles and challenges in the distance, she has to do what she has to do. Maybe that's what it is. Parade the meat around, if you will. And the meat, yes, it could refer to a person, symbolically, but it could also be about, having to do what you have to do to survive. Catfish. See how I was saying about the return receipt over the catfish card? Isn't that interesting? I have to look at that too. Like, what are the cards doing in proximity to one another? And this one is telling me catfish. We are being catfish about those text messages. There's something about them that we need to look closer into. There's also a catfish situation. It could be how she really felt deceived. Like, he is, Darnell, by all accounts from what I can see, is a bottom feeder. I mean, look at him. But it may not just be representing him. It could represent, a situation where somebody even kind of looks like a catfish who's involved. I don't know why I felt like I saw somebody with wide set eyes in the mix of this all these different people popping up that may have lived at the house. But nevertheless, a situation where it's bottom feeders and they're all kind of like circling around, scavenging. Also, I feel like the significance here under the receipt card is there's something that's just not right. We're being catfished about some aspect of it as it relates to Dorothy. We know she is a hard woman. She is. She is a hard woman. No doubt about it. She could crush a spirit. But are we being catfished about her level of involvement, of what she's up to, what she's doing, of where she's going and where she's going to end up? We could be. Could be something also bigger than what we know of, far-reaching than what we know of. We know that there were cards that came up about corruption and diversion and all these kind of, like, just this indication of something bigger needing to be crushed and covered, like not crushed, but a secret that needs to be stamped out. She feels like this, what I'm picking up on here about her, Dorothy's perspective is she's feeling crushed unfairly, unjustly. And that she's the one in this spread that's fated to suffer. That's how she feels. But I'm looking here. We're being catfished, folks. And now it's my job to figure out, what are we being catfished? I might have to just do my own private little reading, and I could put in the community tab posts on what were we being catfished about as it relates to Dorothy's reading. Just specifically that. And it may come up in part, the next couple of parts that I do in her tarot reading. But for now, that's what we got. I said I could remember that there were cards that showed up in the past readings we did, and that's the case. So for the biological mom, Tiara, this card came up in her opening oracle reading and the receipts card. Okay, sacrifice and receipts. For Darnell, in his reading, his opening oracle reading, fated to suffer. Look how, we've got the beguiling person holding an apple, offering it to Snow White. Presumably, I was supposed to be KEI'MANI here. And someone offering something enticing, a connection. Maybe the guidebook says, it wasn't such a poisonous thing initially, but the intentions behind the person is what is actually more sinister. Maybe not the apple itself. Anywho, this card came up as well. Fated to suffer over the meat. So it's so interesting to me that these cards repeated and came up in Dorothy's reading. This connection here, these particular cards. The receipt card, sacrifice. Perhaps what the wrongdoing here is that Tiara and Dorothy were at some point in the weeks and months preceding what happened to KEI'MANI, she became like a sacrificial pawn in their game, back and forth with regards to tabulating something. What do you owe me? What have I paid you? Return receipt. Going back and forth. Although we know that there wasn't really much communication between the bio mom and the grandmother for some time. Everybody pretty much says that. But in the days, weeks, and months, there's been this flurry of activity going on. So that we know that there's some energy going on there between the both of them. And there's something going on there as it relates to KEI'MANI. But then over here, we have something entirely different between Dorothy, Darnell, and KEI'MANI. And it's like hanging her up. It's like you're enticing someone or someone's fated to suffer. Now, if we're looking at this innocently enough, on Dorothy's part, it could be that she did not realize that what she was dealing with, that she was enticing someone to attack KEI'MANI. That someone is Darnell. Could be someone else, allegedly. Could be someone entirely different. But it's like two parts, two prongs here. And Dorothy being the central figure as it relates to Tiara and her relationship, as it relates to her, Tiara and KEI'MANI, and then Dorothy, Darnell, and KEI'MANI, and her roles in what was going on with that, with each side, if that makes any sense. Two simultaneous things going on. Money matters and sacrifices and someone being treated as a pawn. And then over here, someone, hung up on a hook, tempting someone. Fated to suffer. Causing suffering, or intentionally or unintentionally, allegedly. So I just wanted to show you all that before we continue on, because I felt like it was important to share that with you before I wrapped up the reading today, because it was like, no, I need to look at the cards real fast and see in the pictures where these cards came up in the past. All right, let's move on. Okay. So we wanted to see about what does Dorothy do? What does she do, or what did she do? I thought she worked in a factory. I don't know where I got that information from. Could have been just a rumor. There was at one point she had like a little business where she sold food out of like one of those little food trucks or whatever. So far we got caregiver. I thought that because she was working an overnight shift allegedly. We'll be asking about her alibi in the next parts too, by the way. It may take me a little time to get them published today because, yeah, it may take me some time. Look at the bottom of the deck. It may take me some time to get through them. And it may even be tomorrow because I have another case I'm going to be picking up. And I'm going to get back to some cold cases that I want to revisit. You all have been making great recommendations. So it's going to take me some time. So got to get through them. Caregiver. And we know that she probably gets some sort of compensation for, having or fostering KEI'MANI. I guess. I don't know. But it says child care, home attendant, resident advisor, or nursing aide. But the key phrase is caregiver. It says personal assistant, maybe past occupation, or just again with that personal, it's just kind of like, someone who makes money dealing with interpersonal connections, such as a caregiver. And at the bottom of the deck, we have food services, which I thought was interesting. It even shows somebody handing some food out of the what do you call it, a little food truck window. I'm a big food truck fan. Yeah, it says waiter, food vendor, bartender, food prep, griller, dishwasher. So I don't know. Maybe she did do some kind of temp work. I'm not going to specify or speculate, I should say, any further on that, because I'm sure time will tell when that information comes out. But what more importantly is we want to know about that alibi is more important. It's not so much what she did. It is important in the sense of knowing what kind of work she does, because maybe, she makes ample money and wasn't getting money from the state. Who knows? Who really knows? I get a sense that no, that's not the case, but I could be intuitively wrong. And these are like past or present means of how she was earning money, generally speaking. And maybe she picked up some kind of job to help, what do you call it, when you need to add on some extra household income. And so I'm going to be super curious about the alibi question. And then also, as we watch this case unfold, what comes out, if anything comes out. Because if he pleads, we'll see what happens with a trial, right? Well, pleads guilty. I thought he pled not guilty, according to the Toledo Blade newspaper article I read. I've read two, I think. But nowhere else have I confirmed that he's actually pled guilty yet. So we'll see how that pans out too. All right, friends, stay tuned for the next parts. They'll be up as soon as possible, even if they're not on a Monday. So I'm going to work and do my best to get them up as fast as possible, but I don't want to rush. I want to take my time with this one. Okay? All right. Do me a favor on your way out. Please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much. Take good care. Bye for now.